Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners, to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast presented by our friends over at Briar Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on. So whether it's auto, homeowners, flood boaters, or business insurance, there's nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Briar Greaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. And you're really going to want to give Briar Greaves Insurance a call, because if you do, and you chat with Briar Greaves Insurance about how they can help you with your insurance of all the things I just mentioned, you will automatically be put into a raffle to win free tickets into the lower bowl section for the Bucs-Falcons Thursday night game in December, which is the creamsicle game. So give them a call and get automatically entered into a raffle to win free tickets in the lower bowl for Bucs-Falcons creamsicle game, which is Thursday night football. It's Thursday afternoon. Right now, we are going to talk about Bucs versus Saints, a little bit more of the matchup today. And of course, it's Bucs hate the Saints week. This is the most bitter rivalry going on right now in the NFC South. I will not hear any other options because it has to be the Bucs and the Saints, despite the fact that the Bucs are at the cream of the crop and the Saints are just a stepping stone for Tampa Bay, only winning one game on the season. But should be a fun one for sure. We're going to get into a lot of stuff on today's show. I'm your host, Matt Patera. Joined with me is my co-host and colleague at PewterReport.com, Adam Slaban. Adam, are you ready for Hate Week?
I am. I'm really excited for Hate Week, and I can't wait to read all the comments throughout our show today, because I'm sure there's going to be some colorful chats in there about how much they dislike New Orleans or the Saints. And although the Saints are 1-6 right now, Matt, I mean, they're still playing competitive football. They still have guys on offense and defense that can make some plays, make things happen. And I think regardless, it's going to be a competitive game. But hopefully for Tampa Bay's sake, maybe they can put up 51 points again.
That would be ideal. That would be fantastic. And our guy Trista Wirfs kind of spoke about that a little bit today, which we'll get into later on the show. Everybody in the comments right now, we appreciate each and every one of you. I want everyone in the comments, if you feel like it. And again, keep it like somewhat responsible and respectable. Don't go too far out of the line. But tell us how much you hate the New Orleans Saints. If it say something like, I hate the Saints more than 1,000 burning suns, or I hate the Saints more than Harry Potter hates Lord Voldemort. However you feel about your hatred for the New Orleans Saints, I want to see it in the comments. Compare it to something else. Again, try not to use cuss words. Try not to get too realistic with it, with things going on in the world. But if you have certain ways to diss the New Orleans Saints, we'd love to read it on the show. So a little bit of a task for everybody in the comments as well. As Tyler Lovell says, I miss Evans versus Lattimore. And Adam, you and I were talking about earlier today and even right before the show, part of what makes this rivalry so great is that there is bad blood. There's a lot of history based around these two teams. Now, a lot of it isn't players that are involved with this team anymore. Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore are the crux of it, but Lattimore's in Washington now, and Mike Evans, we all saw what happened on Monday, isn't available for this game and really for the rest of the regular season. But it goes beyond just Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore. You had the Chris Godwin injury. You had the Bucs defeating the Saints in the postseason. Bountygate way back in the day. Baker Mayfield entering into the feud as well and showing his disdain for the New Orleans Saints. This is a big time rivalry for several reasons.
Yes, and to kind of prepare for this show, Matt, I actually found like an article dating back about 8 years now of just all the lore between Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore, because these guys, for as long as Lattimore was in New Orleans, as long as Mike was out on the field, there was going to be a brawl. And like you look back in 2017 when Jameis, he was doing his pregame, let's eat a W speech before he left the game. That's when you really saw Lattimore and Evans get into it for the first time, but it wouldn't be the last time. And then in 2022, you saw Evans kind of shove Lattimore to the ground. You had Brady jawing at him, Leonard Fournette getting into it. So these teams, the players, it's really intense. And really, you've kind of seen the Bucs and the Saints between 2015 and 2018. Each team won a game. And then 2019, you kind of saw the tide shift a little bit. New Orleans got the upper hand. But under Todd Bowles, Matt, the Bucs have only lost once, and that was 17 and 2023. Since then, they've pretty much had control of this rivalry. And in Jason Licht's mind, it might not even be a rivalry anymore after he dissed Cam Jordan. But when you look at it, the coaches, the executives, the players, I think there's something extra about this game, extra juice, if you will.
There really is. And one other part of the rivalry, again, these players aren't here anymore, but I still think it's important for the overall context. How could I forget this? But it just popped in my head before the show. When they defeated the Saints in the divisional round, and Carlton Davis went on social media to take a shot at Slant Boy, being like, I beat you then, I'm going to beat you after the game as well, and all these different things. Yeah, there's so much that adds into it. And I kind of like that Baker Mayfield added more fuel to the fire, saying it's not exactly clean play when we go up against them. And yeah, Baker got hit really hard in that game 2 seasons ago, getting high load. I think Mike getting the 1,000 yards against the Saints as well certainly plays into it. Jason Licht chirping at Cameron Jordan, as you were just mentioning ago, also kind of adds to it. So I know some people, like there's some ignorant Saints fans that are like, the Falcons are our true rival. Like, you never had a big, meaningful game against the Falcons the way that the Bucs and the Saints did a couple years ago. Nobody's really the rival of the Panthers. The Bucs would have more of a claim to the rivalry against the Panthers since Dave Canales went there as their head coach. But to me, nothing pales. Sorry, I'm reading some of these comments. They're already nothing pales in comparison to Bucs versus Saints. And for whatever reason as well, while there have been some things that happened at Raymond James Stadium, it very much feels like a lot of the chaos that ensues happens in New Orleans versus in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, and I just remember last year the chaos that kind of ensued with the hurricane that hit the Tampa Bay area. You saw
that too.
Them go and practice at Tulane University, and they had to head there early. And then what did they do? How did they respond? They put up those 51 points. You saw Sean Tucker have a career game. And when you look at it, like Baker Mayfield, you mentioned him. He took cheap shots kind of in each game back in that 2023 season. But I like Baker Mayfield when, he has that chip on his shoulder and he finds the slightest thing. And in this case, it's more than just a slight thing. Like, he really doesn't like him. He went on, I think it was Part of My Take in the offseason. He's like, I hate the Saints. Jason Licht came on here and he's like, I hate the Saints too. And so, like, you put all that together, and Sunday afternoon is going to be fireworks.
It absolutely is. We played these videos on the show yesterday, but I think it's worth playing them again. First, Baker Mayfield talking about why he doesn't like the New Orleans Saints.
This rivalry is so intense. It hasn't exactly been clean play from their part when we play them. It's a physical game. It is what it is. You expect it. Division rival. Not much else to say besides the fact that I don't like them.
Straight, blunt, to the point. Jason Licht as well with his feelings about it.
What is the Bucs' biggest rival in the NFC South? I know you want to go undefeated.
I hate the Saints.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
And why is that? Embellish, please. Give us some reasoning.
Oh, I mean, it's almost a compliment to them. I mean, I like some people that work there. I like Mickey Loomis. I always enjoy talking to him at the owners' meetings, and got some other really good friends on their staff. But I just, for some reason, I just can't wait to beat their ass. It's and they're always tough. They're a tough team, no matter what. Doesn't matter what their record is.
Yeah.
It's
even in the season finale last year,
right?
Gritty.
No, I have a lot of respect. A lot of respect for them.
It's got to be that much sweeter when Mike gets over 1,000 yards in that last game against the Saints specifically.
Yeah, that was top 5 moment for sure.
Yeah, that, and you clinched the division. There are some haters out there. You keep the receipts, Jason, when it comes to the naysayers.
I
of
do.
The Bucs.
I got a shoebox of them right now already for this year.
And Jason's been on it this season already, calling out people that have been unhappy with the Bucs in certain moments, whether it's trades that he wants. Someone was like, "Dude, how many beers have you had?" He's like, "I've had 2."
Yeah.
So Jason's the best. We're gonna switch gears a little bit, move into a topic more about the overall gameplay of the Bucs and the Saints. But y'all have already brought it with some great comments about why you hate the Saints or how much you hate the Saints. David Stackton says, I hate the Saints more than Mike hates Marshawn Lattimore. Justin Gibson says, I hate the Saints more than the Cowboys. That's big time because everyone hates the Cowboys unless you're a Cowboys fan. Q's44, we're going to be talking about your favorite player today, says cheaters and bounty hitters. Hate them all with my heart. Really hate Sean Payton. This is going to be the player haters ball today. Shout out to Chappelle Show. Keita Villain says, I hated the Saints once that dude took Chris Godwin's ACL out. Yeah, it's a big part of the rivalry. Bat W says, Sean Payton was putting out bounties on our players. I have despised the Saints. They are dirty players. Nathan Elliott says, New Orleans has the worst and most ignorant fans in the entire NFL. The lack of class and intelligence stunts the progress of society.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Aaron Flannery says, I hate the Saints more than NFL refs love Kansas City. Justin Hart, I hate the New Orleans Saints more than Kirk Cousins hates primetime games. That's true. He has been pretty bad in those. Keita Villain with another one says, I hate the Saints more than the Falcons hate Tom Brady. If you know, you know. I think we do. A little 28-3 talk. And then Moise Asim says, I hate the Saints more than Tyreek Hill hates Tua. So well done. We'll get them some more during the rest of the show as well. So keep them coming. But Adam, you have a couple of thoughts, takes about this overall matchup between the Bucs and the Saints. It's up to you whether you want to start offense or defense, but what's sticking out to you about this game?
Yeah, when I look at the Saints, Matt, I know we're Bucs experts and we dive into the Bucs and all the nuances, but when I look at this coming opponent and I see Spencer Rattler, you might say, oh, he's 1-12 as a starter. He's quarterbacking this 1-6 team. He has to be pretty bad, right? And I look at his stats, and he actually is a starting NFL quarterback. His completion percentage year over year compared to his rookie year last year, it's about the same sample size up to now, but his completion percentage has gone up 10%. He's doubled the amount of touchdowns. He has 8 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. And the offense actually has some weapons to work with, Matt. And I think that's going to be one thing that Todd Bowles is going to have to really game plan for is Chris Olave. You see their tight end, Juwan Johnson. He always seems to have a big game against Tampa Bay, at least in recent years. And then even Alvin Kamara. It seems like the Bucs have locked him up in years past, but now with Kendre Miller being out for the year, he was kind of ceding touches to him. I mean, Kamara is going to be a big focal point of their offense. So when I look at it entirely, I don't think Rattler's awful. I think he's the kind of quarterback who, if you underrate or underestimate his abilities, he might throw for 300 yards. So I think he's more polished than even last year's game. And that might make it a little bit closer than people think.
Yeah, I mean, he has a wealth of experience at this point, and wasn't too bad against the Bucs in that final game of the season. Let's remember, that game came down to the wire. Like, the Bucs got the ball back, and yes, they could have just taken a knee, but they need to get Mike the 1,000 yards. But that game came down to the Bucs defense getting a stop at the end to get the ball back for Tampa Bay after they had just regained the lead. But they didn't get the lead until the fourth quarter. It was very back and forth. And I'll give the Saints a lot of credit, too. While they're not a good football team, you can't possibly be a good football team when you're 1-6. Now, the Ravens is a different story. Lamar Jackson hasn't played. But for New Orleans, they keep it competitive. Like, sometimes they'll get their ass kicked like they did against the Seattle Seahawks. But they gave a tough test to the Buffalo Bills, who the Bucs will see in a couple of weeks. And that game was in Buffalo. And, you know, that's the type of contest where you just think, okay, Saints are going to roll over and die. It's going to be a big-time win for Buffalo. The Bills had to kind of like really churn it out and get the job done. Even against the Bears last week, and that's where some turnovers kind of really came into play for Spencer Rattler and really the whole team. But the Bears didn't run away with it by any means. New Orleans had a chance to make it a one-score game and keep it close at the end. So Rattler is kind of going back to his Oklahoma days and some of the other schools he played for after he transferred. South Carolina he played at too. He's not afraid to throw the ball, and he's kept the interceptions down a little bit more compared to last season. Now, obviously, last year, there was turnovers left and right, and they weren't all on Spencer Rattler, but that's where the Bucs like truly kind of ran away with the game because it was close in the beginning, but then, you had the scoop and score by Antoine Winfield Jr. and some other big plays. So I agree with you in the aspect of, is this a game where the Bucs can kind of overwhelm Spencer Rattler and maybe create some turnovers? Yes, but he's not just going to hand it to them.
No.
You actually have to rattle him, pun intended. You actually have to maybe knock a ball loose or get creative with trying to get to the quarterback or whoever has the football. So I don't really care about the Saints 1-6 record. I think this is going to be a thorn in the side type of matchup, which it has been for quite a while with these teams.
And the one other thing I will say about the Saints offense that kind of works in the Bucs' favor a little bit is that compared to Monday night when they were going up against Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, they really just have to contain Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. And I was kind of diving deeper into it a little bit. And Chris Olave, he's played 5 games against the Bucs, Matt. He has 14 receptions for 180 yards. His 36 yards per game average across those 5 games is the lowest of any team he's played if he's played them more than once. So, I mean, the Bucs have found ways to shut him down. Alvin Kamara is aging. So it's really Spencer Rattler. If he's able to elevate the rest of the guys, maybe get them to play well. I mean, you saw Olave against the Bears. He had 2 touchdown catches, had his best game of the season. You just don't want to see a repeat of Monday night where they get the ball in the playmakers' hands and they start making big plays.
I would say one other person that they certainly need to look out for is Rashid Shaheed. He's a guy that can take a top off of the defense. He'll have explosive plays, but it's not consistently where he has an explosive play. Like he'll have one in week 1, and then he won't have another one for week 4. Then he'll do it in week 6, but then you won't see it for week 10. So you just got to find the right week to make sure that he doesn't totally get involved. And what's also helpful for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is that the Saints don't really have a running game. It's crazy that Alvin Kamara has been in the league for so long, and he's been so effective in different ways, and yet he's never had a 1,000-yard rushing season. It's almost insane to think of, because I still remember, I think it was a Christmas game where he had like 5 rushing touchdowns or something like that, but never, I mean, I guess if you're punching it in from the 2-yard line, you can get 5 rushing touchdowns. But, crazy in that aspect of it where he just doesn't get 1,000 yards despite being on the team and being the face of the team for several years outside of, Drew Brees when he was in there. So that's a benefit for Tampa Bay, especially because, one, they like to get teams into 3rd and long situations. They didn't really get to do that last week or on Monday going against the Detroit Lions. But we also have to factor in as well, there's going to be no Hassan Reddick in this game. So a lot's going to fall on Yaya Diaby once again. Anthony Nelson comes into becoming a starter at outside linebacker. And that also means more Chris Braswell. And it'll be interesting with Braswell because the coaches spoke about it yesterday and today where Braswell just needs to let it fly. And you can't let it fly if it's the 3rd and 4 and they might run it. They might throw it. They're not going to have like 7 seconds to throw. They're going to want to get rid of it quick. But 3rd and 10 and you're up 14, Chris Braswell can let it fly. So I hope that's the type of situation that we see for Tampa Bay in this game. Give some opportunities to the young guns. Let them go. Let them see what they can do with more expanded opportunities because we don't know when Hassan Reddick is coming back. And they've been very limited with Chris Braswell. I mean, Reddick and Yaya were playing around 70 to 80% of the snaps each game. There's just not a big sample size for a guy that we really want to see take a big step in year 2.
And I'm glad you transitioned from kind of talking about the Saints offense to the Bucs outside linebackers, because getting to hear Larry Foote and what he had to say today about the outside linebackers. So a couple of weeks ago, when we last heard from him, he's like, I'm going to challenge them. They need to go out there and they need to get some sacks. They need to apply the pressure, bring the heat. And they've responded pretty well, Matt. They had 6 sacks against the Seahawks and then 4 sacks last week against, or was it 6 sacks against the 49ers and then 4 sacks against the Lions. So, I mean, they've gotten a lot of pressure. And Yaya Diaby, he said that he's kind of been ascending. But to your point, it's going to be the guys after Yaya. It's going to be Chris Braswell, who if he pins his ears back, like you said, on 3rd and 10, he might get a sack or 2. Regardless, he's going to be playing more. Foote even mentioned the other Kamara, Mo Kamara, the outside linebacker on the practice squad, he's going to see some action this week. And you add in Anthony Nelson, like those guys collectively, I mean, they're going to have to replace Hassan Reddick, at least for this week, but maybe for a couple weeks, barring a trade. So I think for them, they're going to need to go out there and they're going to need to play on fire. That's what Larry Foote said. They need to go out there. They need to play like their hair is on fire, and they need to bring the juice, Matt. And that's really what I want to see from the outside linebackers, because if they can attack the New Orleans offensive line, they suffered a pretty big injury with Eric McCoy.
Yeah.
They can really rattle Rattler, to your point.
Yes, they can. And I like that Larry Foote is continuing to challenge this group, because we were all there when he said it 2 weeks ago, and you had a good follow-up question about it today. He could have just been like, yeah, they answered the call, but it's like, no, they've gotten better, but we're still not at where they need to be. And I think a lot of us are in agreement. This team can't reach the Super Bowl without getting a pass rush from their front four, because when it comes time for the postseason, it's all about who can get home with the front four so they can keep more back, with defensive backs and linebackers and stuff like that. And the reality is, it's just that the Bucs aren't there yet when it comes to being able to get home. Now, it's great when you have the 6 sacks and stuff like that, but you also had a blitzing Levante David, and Tyke Smith has played at such a high level. So
Jamel Dean had one.
Don't make a scene. Yes, Jamel Dean playing at an incredible level right now. Let's remember, he had a big game against New Orleans a couple of seasons ago with 2 interceptions in that one. I believe one of them was a pick 6 as well. So Jamel Dean doesn't always intercept the football, but when he does have a nose for the end zone. So hopefully Jamel Dean can have another big time game. And Tyke Smith, I mean, this guy's on a rampage as well. He's turning into one of the best safeties, not just on the team, but really in the league, with his ability to go and make tackles. You don't always want your safety making the tackles, but Tyke Smith is leading the Bucs in tackles. Greg Auman, the Almanac, had a great stat today. That's the first player that wasn't an inside linebacker to lead the team in tackles currently since 2011, which is a long time ago, before Levante David was there as well. So Tyke Smith bringing a interesting and important element to this team as well.
And what's crazy, Matt, is that last year Tyke Smith played 13 games. He had 54 tackles. This year, he's played 7 games, and he already surpassed that amount. He has 58 tackles. You add in the fact that he has a couple of sacks already, and you're just seeing a more complete Tyke Smith. He's seamlessly made the move from nickel back to safety. And then when you look at the safety duo of Tyke Smith and Antoine Winfield Jr., you're like, man, that's the best safety duo in football. And you really wouldn't be too far off, because Tyke Smith, I mean, he's arguably playing better than Antoine Winfield Jr. this year. And that's saying something. Like, he's a tackle machine. And I really liked what Larry Foote said about him today, that he's mean. Like, he plays with an edge. He plays like somebody that could have been playing football back in the mid-2000s with Larry Foote. And kind of like Troy Polamalu to an extent there, because Foote played with the Steelers. But just really like what Tyke Smith has brought to the Bucs defense. And he's completed the secondary in a way.
He absolutely has. And, I mean, that's an all-time compliment when you can say, this guy could play in my era. Because, as everyone thinks, the more that the common era comes around, people are softer. Everyone was tougher back 15 years ago, 30 years ago, 45 years ago, 100 years ago. Everybody was tougher. So, yeah, that's an ultimate compliment by Larry Foote to say that Tyke Smith could play back in his day. Tyke Smith has been a big help to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the way that Briar Greaves Insurance has been a big help to people in the Tampa Bay area. And if you are a longtime fan of PewterReport.com, you've heard us talk about Briar Greaves Insurance before. Pewter Report Scott Reynolds has been a Briar Greaves customer for years, and there simply is not a better insurance company in the Tampa Bay area. So visit BriarGreavesInsurance.com to see for yourself. Briar Greaves Insurance is family-owned, and their main goal is helping people. They want to help people find the right insurance policy for you and your family. So whether it's home or auto, boating insurance, or business insurance, turn to Briar Greaves and find out why their personal touch and customer service sets them apart. The days of waiting on hold to speak with an insurance representative that you don't even know are over. With Briar Greaves Insurance, you'll have a relationship with your agent who can answer your questions and advise you on the best policies. As 2 recent hurricanes have shown all of us that live in the Tampa Bay area, there is a cost to living in paradise. Briar Greaves can help make sure you have the right hurricane and flood insurance to make sure you and your home are protected. Visit BriarGreavesInsurance.com today. That's Briar, B-R-I-E-R, Greaves, G-R-I-E-V-E-S. Call their office today at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. And tell them that Briar Greaves Insurance, or tell them that Pewter Report sent you to Briar Greaves Insurance. And if you like Briar Greaves Insurance, I think you'll like them even more because Jason Light, the Bucs general manager, who we saw on that video before, also uses Briar Greaves Insurance. And maybe you'll get a chance to see Jason Light if you win the raffle from Briar Greaves Insurance. Give them a call at 813-876-4166, and you will automatically be entered into a raffle to win tickets to the Bucs-Falcons game on Thursday Night Football, the creamsicle game later on in December. So make sure you give Briar Greaves Insurance a call. We got a couple super chats to get to, and also a couple more disses of the Saints. Josh Ortiz says, I hate the Saints more than Michael hates Toby. That's an all-time comment right there for those that are fans of The Office. Christopher Oxentine says, I hate the Saints more than I hate not being able to eat sweets. That's got to be tough because I have a sweet tooth myself.
Yeah, me too.
Joe says, I hate the Saints more than I hate going to the dentist for a root canal.
They'll suck.
Not good, not good. I like Rice. Bish says, we hate the Saints more than TB12 hates McDonald's. That's a good one. TB12 always eating clean. And TBMB95 says, I hate the Saints more than Eddie Lacy hates dieting. So,
they called him Eddie Pastry back in the day.
Yeah.
Like his last year in Green Bay, he could have played on the offensive line. So,
all right, moving along. Johnny Cash, thank you for this $1.99 super chat. Says,
thank you.
Tez and Kool-Aid McKinstry played together in high school. It should be a fun matchup.
I didn't know that. That's a really cool little bit. And
yeah.
Both of them are going to be heavily involved. I mean, Tez Johnson, you just wrote about him. He's the third receiver right now. Might be the second receiver by the end of the season. And then Kool-Aid McKinstry, among the Saints secondary, he's really been the best guy. He has 2 interceptions, leads the team, I think, with 5 passes defense. So, be a good matchup.
And I'm sure Kool-Aid McKinstry knows all about Tez Johnson and how much he likes to talk and and all that different stuff. So it should make for a great matchup. And I do think Tez Johnson is going to be the number 2 wide receiver eventually. I mean, if last game indicated they were looking for Tez Johnson more than they were Sterling Shepard. Now, Sterling Shepard's been involved in other ways. He scored a big touchdown against Seattle. But if 2 weeks ago against San Fran was like the coming out party for Tez Johnson, scoring that touchdown 45 yards away, this is looking more like the mainstay for Tez Johnson, trying to get him involved, hit him down the field, hit him with screens, making people miss. And I like this role for Tez Johnson. And I'm kind of the belief that, like, I'm not expecting Chris Godwin back for a little bit. I'm not expecting him to come back after the bye. It could be a little bit longer before we see Chris Godwin Jr. I hope I'm wrong, but, like, I have prepared mentally for the Bucs to be without Chris Godwin Jr., and it's all about Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard, Cameron Johnson, Ryan Miller. That's just how I feel about it. Hopefully Chris Godwin Jr. can come back, but if it's not for a couple more games, it's all about the youth at wide receiver for Tampa Bay with 2 rookies leading the charge with Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson.
Unfortunately, I'm in the same boat, Matt. I feel like the Bucs wide receiver room, as it stands right now, it's going to be that way probably for like another month. And when you look at December, you might get Jalen McMillan back, Chris Godwin Jr. back, and Mike Evans back all in the same month. So I think they'll get that real big boost. Like they'll get that adrenaline shot at the end of the season. But right now they're working for it. And Emeka Egbuka, he's already a number 1 wide receiver. But having a guy like Tez Johnson, he's become more than just a gadget guy. Like he's somebody who actually runs really good routes, creates that separation, and he can head downfield. And part of Baker Mayfield's success throwing the deep ball has been to Tez Johnson. Like, he had that 45-yard touchdown where he did the veteran move. He adjusted his route, and then he laid out for it. Like, he used every little bit of his wingspan. It's not much because he's small, but he caught the football. And, like, he's really impressed me, especially for a 7th-round pick.
And Rolf Steinbauer Sports says, Cam Johnson won us games this year. Nobody loves on him. I'm a big fan of Cameron Johnson.
Yeah.
He's fantastic as a punt returner. I actually said in the snap counts that I write each week, but the most recent one, I said I was surprised they only used Cameron Johnson 22%, especially because Mike went out with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. So you still had all of the second half, the third and the fourth quarter, to get Cameron Johnson more involved. This is a guy that led the team a week ago in receiving yards. Now, granted, he was wide open, but good on him for getting open, and good on Baker Mayfield for calling the right play, making the right audible to get him open. There was something interesting that Josh Grizzard said, and we'll talk more about Josh Grizzard in a little bit, probably after Q's44 Super Chat. But he said, obviously, you want the main guys, Mike and Chris and Bucky and everyone. But he said, like, they take a lot of pride and they like the challenge of getting everyone else involved when they don't have their top guys. So I think Cameron Johnson will certainly be on the mind of Josh Grizzard. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Virgin Boys, thanks for the $1.99 Super Chat, says, how is Elijah Roberts already better than Logan Hall? ... He's surpassed him as well. I mean, we just talked about Tez Johnson and Sterling Shepard. Elijah Roberts is already playing more snaps than Logan Hall, and I don't have an issue with it. I think Logan Hall still has like a role on this team, and this was an opportunity for him to show more of his pass rushing prowess. It just hasn't come to fruition. Now, remember, Elijah Roberts, friend of the program, he was a defensive end. He was an edge rusher at SMU. Still being able to be a pass rusher at the defensive tackle position, especially when you know Vita Vea is going to be eating a lot of those double teams. His progress has been so awesome to see, and it's happened so quickly, and that doesn't work with everyone. I mean, we were just talking about Chris Braswell a moment ago, but I think we got to look at the reality of Elijah Roberts, a rookie who's going to be here for at least 4 more seasons, and Logan Hall likely isn't going to get re-signed after this season. So the Bucs are kind of expediting what they got going on the interior outside of Vita Vea, but so far so good with Elijah Roberts. If he's playing better, then damn it, play him. So I like it.
Yeah, for a day 3 pick, another guy who's really stepped up and played so well. And for like Logan Hall, I think he's a good player. I don't think he's awful, but I kind of see him more as like that next Will Golston. Like if he were to re-sign, like you're happy if he's rotating in, but he's not necessarily the go-to starter. And you look at Elijah Roberts, he's already making plays every week, Matt. Like he already has a couple sacks under his belt. He had that fumble recovery on Monday night. And just his ability to be where the football is, and then also his profile as a pass rusher. I mean, you mentioned his time at SMU. He led the country his past 2 years with quarterback pressures and sacks. So you're looking at somebody who knows how to get after the quarterback. He's 285 pounds, but he's also quick enough to kind of fill that Kalijah Cansey role. Yes. And where he just has that burst right off the snap to where he can get in the backfield and make things happen. So really impressed with him. I feel like the arrow is really trending up and that he's going to be a piece of this pass rush for a long time.
That's a big part of it too, is that Kalijah Cansey's not there. So they've probably thrown him into it a little bit more, but he's answered swimmingly. There's no doubt about it. Tyler Lovell, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says game ball predictions for Sunday. So jumping ahead a little bit, let's curtail this a little bit and say who's going to, if the Bucs are going to win, who's going to, be a big reason why they win. Adam, you can start this one.
I mean, on offense, it's hard to go wrong with Baker Mayfield, right?
Yeah.
Because he's the key and the ignition that makes everything go. But I would say that Emeka Egbuka would probably be my pick. Like somebody who's really that number 1 wide receiver now without Mike and Chris. Defensively, I'm going to say something bold. I'm going to say Servassier Dennis. I think that he's kind of been trending up after, such an abysmal start for him. But Larry Foote said, and kind of agree with him, the past 2 games have been his best. And when you're looking at Alvin Kamara, the fact that he isn't the same elusive back he was in maybe 2018, 2019, I think Servassier has done really good in run defense this year, not so much pass coverage. I think he's going to stop something and make something happen, get a forced fumble, maybe get an interception if Rattler looks Kamara's way.
I like it. I like it. I'm going to go offensively. I have 2 players in mind. One we just spoke about, Tez Johnson. Like, if he's going to be the number 2 wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka is not a secret anymore. You know, so teams are going to game plan for him, especially knowing that Mike and Chris aren't in there. So if Tez Johnson is able to put up the production that he did the last 2 games, that will bode well. I also think Sean Tucker, you know, going back to where he had the best game of his career, there's been discussions about more opportunities getting him the football. Could be a big game for Shawnee Tux. Defensively, so Eric McCoy not being in there at center, it'd be easy to say, oh, like Vita Vea is going to disrupt the game. But somebody that I've been very critical of, a lot of us have, it's not just me specifically, but Yaya Diaby has put it together the last 2 games. And that's been the big thing for me, is that Yaya just hasn't been consistent. He hasn't stacked the games. It's kind of one good moment here, then nothing, then a good game, then nothing. He put 2 good games together with what he did against the 49ers and then the strip sack against the Detroit Lions. Now, where Vita Vea and Elijah Roberts and hopefully Logan Paul come into play is that they are going to push Spencer Rattler to the outside. And again, Anthony Nelson's going to be in there. But I think Yaya, if he really wants to get back into the good graces of Bucs fandom, and not that he needs to, you know, he's just there to work and do his job. I think a big game from Yaya could be really important in terms of what Tampa Bay wants to do at the outside linebacker position, because obviously there's been a ton of chatter about trading for an outside linebacker. So
I really like that pick, especially because, like, now's Yaya's time without Hassan Reddick there. Like, if Yaya wants to prove that he's really a number 1 pass rusher, he can be that guy and maybe get another contract extension. Now's the time to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Of course. We will get to Q's44's question in just a moment, because we kind of want to bounce off of that one. But Dan L with a really good question. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, if the Bucs don't draft Emeka Egbuka, are they still 5-2? That's an awesome. I mean, it's a great question. It's a good hypothetical that Bucs fans don't have to worry about, because the reality is that Emeka Egbuka is here. Probably not. Probably not. I think they would be 4-3. I think they still beat the Jets. To me, it really comes down to the Falcons game and the Seahawks game. I think they drop one of those games where Emeka Egbuka was so crucial. I mean, obviously, in Atlanta, he scores the go-ahead touchdown with under a minute to go, and he had the best game of his career against Seattle with a touchdown, the big play to the 1-yard line. That's a really good question, because you got to factor in, like you have Chris Godwin Jr., who hasn't really been the Chris Godwin Jr. that we know and love, and would have been a couple games without Mike Evans as well. I think they would have been 4-3, but no, I don't think they would have been 5-2.
I don't either, and I'd actually say they'd probably be 3-4. I mean, Mayfield magic, like you talk about that, like a lot of that has been predicated on getting the ball to Emeka Egbuka and just the game-changing plays that he's had. Like that Seattle game, they don't win it without Emeka Egbuka, in my opinion, just based on the touchdown that he had. I mean, Baker threw him a beautiful ball, but then also that real deep 57-yard catch. I mean, he's been a game changer. And right now, I mean, this wide receiver core without him would be a lot more dire.
Yeah. Dan L follows that up and says, thanks for your thoughts. I've been curious what everyone else thinks. And Dan L says, I think I agree with 3-4. Keita Villain says 1-6. I don't know. They would have been 1-6.
Yeah.
Appreciate your comment. Let's get to Q's44, has been patiently waiting for this moment all season long. Q's44 with the $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Says,
thank you.
Is it Tucker/Saints week finally? Well, it sure sounds like we're going to see a lot of Sean Tucker in this game, Adam, based on what Josh Grizzard had to say, based on what Todd Bowles had to say the week or the day before, and also based on the fact that Rachaad White played 90% of the snaps last game, which is fine. He's a good player. But 90% to 10% for Sean Tucker, this is the Sean Tucker week.
Yes, it is. And based on Todd Bowles' comments yesterday, I feel like he and Josh Grizzard may have had a chat about like the run game and how they want to get guys utilized and really commit to the run game. Because you heard Josh Grizzard today talk about Like, he wants to really trust the run game. He wants to establish it, especially in the first half. And one thing that he said will be key in doing that is those longer drives to where, Rashad isn't just out there on a 3-and-out and they punt it, or it isn't just a bunch of passes like it was late in the game when they're doing that 19-play drive and Rashad just staying out there play after play. So I think longer drives where they can control the time of possession against New Orleans, it's going to lead to maybe more of a, 70-30, 60-40 split. But when you factor in that Sean Tucker's returning to New Orleans, you've been waiting for him to explode because he had that huge game. Everyone remembers. But the rest of the season, Matt, he had 34 carries for 165 yards and a touchdown. So even outside of the New Orleans game, he was still averaging almost 5 yards a clip. And like, he's just such an explosive back, such a power back. Like, you've seen so many glimpses. You're just waiting for it again. What better time than now?
There's no better time than now. And that was a big thing as well. I mean, the Bucs running game, like this season, Sean Tucker hasn't had too many opportunities. Yes, he had a touchdown, but it's from a couple yards away and he could have waltzed in. The running game has not truly found its footing just yet. They've had good moments. Rachaad White against Seattle on 3rd and 7 was big time. They ran it pretty good against San Francisco as well, but it hasn't been as fluid as it was last year. Now, maybe some of that is Liam Cohen. Some of that has to be the offensive line gelling because you've had different people in and out of the lineup. And also, you don't have Bucky Irving. But this is a big-time opportunity to get Sean Tucker involved. And the offensive line at the same time, they want to put a lot on their shoulders as well. It's not just Josh Grizzard who's been talking, and he understands they can't throw the ball 50 times. That's pretty much like the first thing he admitted when we spoke to him today. But like Tristan Wirfs today, talking about how the offensive line needs to put it on their shoulders as well. And he was also very funny talking about last season, the Bucs needed another touchdown to get over 50 points. They ended up with 51. And he kind of threatened Sean Tucker a little bit, being like, you better get into the end zone there. So I think it's going to be a total team effort running the football more between getting Sean Tucker involved a little bit more, the offensive line kind of picking it up a bit. But here's Tristan Wirfs, who we spoke to today.
I remember the thing I remember most was that I think the last touchdown Tuck scored, I think to get his 50, I think, and I was like, I'm looking at the huddle, I said, you better score this mother, I was like, but it was good, we had a good day on the ground, like I said, got them up to the second and third level, like, they both, Tuck runs hard as a mug, they all do, but, yeah, that was nice, get the run game going there and quieten that crowd down a little bit. It does get loud and rowdy in there. But, yeah, that's the thing I remember most.
Those are the days offensive linemen loved.
Yeah, that was a nice day. That was nice. And it's kind of like a culmination of that, that whole week. You're like, to come out of there with a win after all that was really nice.
Do you think we should see more pony package this week from the Bucs with Rachaad White and Sean Tucker in the game?
Yeah, I think so, because when you look at like Rashad and Sean Tucker, like two of the most explosive playmakers in the backfield, like you want to utilize them, especially with the wide receiver core being kind of where it is right now. Like I'd rather have Sean Tucker out there than maybe Ryan Miller or even to some extent Cameron Johnson. Like, Sean Tucker is capable of just completely taking over a game, and you're putting him in New Orleans again. I really want to see the pony package maybe dialed up like last year where you have 10 plays where you have both of them out there. And it's another opportunity also to get Rashad involved in the pass game.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think part of the reason why they didn't want Sean Tucker in as much is because they don't trust him pass blocking. So then, Rachaad White's in the game and you're only going to keep him in passing situations while also running as well. If you keep both running backs in, and I agree with you, like both of them are so good as receivers, even though they're running backs, it is probably an upgrade over Ryan Miller, who's a pretty good blocker. But then everyone might say, oh, well, Rachaad White's going to stay in and block and Sean Tucker isn't. But that's fine, because Sean Tucker can run routes pretty good. And then maybe you throw the Saints off guard with a situation where maybe Rachaad White goes out for an opportunity. But you got to make sure you protect Baker Mayfield one way or another. And if they don't trust Sean Tucker pass blocking, I think there's a way to get him on the field while also not putting him in situations that he's not overall good at. And this might be the duo for a little while as well, because Christopher Oxentine wants to know, is Bucky out for the season? I don't think he's out for the season, but this injury added in with Bucky's like social media posts are kind of, I don't know. It's got me worried. Like, it's got me worried, honestly, for Bucky's like overall psyche, because he's a guy that he'll post on social media, but it's not a crazy amount. It's like once a week or something like that. He's posting almost like every day now. Let me see if I can find the most recent one.
Yeah. And then there was like the one of Larry Foote where
Yes.
he posted a picture. He's like, my favorite coach, and just a bunch of weird captions on there. Like it's a little bit bizarre.
Yeah, so this is the reason when he said, I learned all about life with a ball in my hands. Thank you, God. Thank you to the ones that helped me out. I love y'all. Well, that one's he's just showing appreciation. But he had like another post where it was like, we're going to learn who loved me like before I was good at football and who loves me just because of football or something like that. So I hope Bucky can come back soon. But you see pictures of him and he's in a sling and all this stuff. And
yeah,
you don't just like miraculously get out of the sling and you're overall good to go. So,
and it's also concerning because like the report came out that he had that foot sprain, and then a couple days later, I think it was Adam Schefter reported that he also had a shoulder injury. So you add in that shoulder injury, it was considered to be worse. And then we asked Todd Bowles yesterday, hey, is there an update on Bucky? How's he doing? And he's like, no, there's nothing new. There's no update. And the fact that he's still wearing a sling, like it's going to carry over into the bye week. But then looking into the second half of the season, that's a really hard injury, especially for a running back. Like based on contact, every hit, like to his shoulder, like if a linebacker lays into him a little bit, I mean, he's going to feel it. So right now, I feel like there's just so much uncertainty, not just with Irving, but Chris Godwin Jr. There really is an update. Luke Gedeke, I mean, we've seen him for a couple weeks now, like just kind of walking around. When's his knee injury gonna,
Right. When is he coming back? Yeah, we don't know that just yet either. Greg DeCruz, the Dan Feeney comment, that was good. That's what I was looking for. Greg DeCruz says, is Bucky even on the sidelines with this team? I haven't seen him out on the sidelines at all, like not at practice. Haven't noticed him at the games either. I mean, it's a road game, so we can kind of only see what the camera shows, but haven't seen him there either. So definitely still remains a mystery when it comes to Bucky Irving. Desmond Watson, worshiper, had a good question as well. Says, who will have a bigger impact on this franchise by the time they retire, Bucky or Emeka Egbuka? It's a good question, and I'm not trying to consider this from a recency bias type of thing. I still do think it's Emeka Egbuka just because it's still a passing league. He's going to be the number one wide receiver, and Bucky is injury prone. I guess Emeka Egbuka is too, even though he was able to get through this last game. But Bucky, I just think his size-wise, it's going to be very difficult for him to play a full 17-game season most of the time in his career, where Egbuka, he's going to be the top guy, especially in a couple of seasons. So I'm going to go with Egbuka, but that doesn't mean that Bucky Irving is not important to this team.
Or they both can't be good. But I think, like, you're right, Egbuka has more staying power. Like, you could realistically see him play 10 years easy. I think for Irving, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle to get to 10 years of playing like he did in his rookie year, especially. And I think a good career for him would be work done. But I mean, with Emeka, I mean, the sky's the ceiling for him. He could very well be the next Mike Evans for the next decade or so.
And Egbuka's stats are certainly one thing that I'll be looking at with using the Splash Sports app this week. You can join over 2.5 million people playing on Splash Sports. It's the home for Survivor, Pick'em, and Quick Picks. Whether you want to create your own contest with friends or take a shot at life-changing prize pools, Splash Sports has got you covered. I actually just entered into a Week 8 Quick Picks tournament where the winner gets over $1,000. There's only a $10 entry, so I made picks on every single game over on Splash Sports this week. They also have a weekend kickoff boost that you can get if you sign up for the Splash Sports app. You can use the QR code on the screen right there. Start your weekend off right with the weekend kickoff boost with their quick picks. Turn $20 into $1,000 with the best multipliers in daily fantasy sports. And now that basketball is back and the NHL is back, you could use it for that as well. You think you've got what it takes? Prove you're the sharpest fan in Bucs Nation and download the Splash Sports app to join their various leagues and their weekly leagues, like I was talking about, and get those quick picks in over at Splash Sports. Also, the Pewter Report Survivor League on Splash Sports, still going, still dwindling down. We had a great turnout. We're down to, I believe, 12 now. So there's been a lot of eliminations with some of the upsets. I'm still in it, so looking to win the grand prize. But yeah, that's still going as well. And we'll see who makes it through this week. Adam, any other thoughts about Josh Grizzard, what he had to say today when we spoke to him?
Yeah, there was one other point I want to make here, and I really thought it was interesting how he was talking about Baker Mayfield and kind of building up his confidence. And I think he mentioned it starts early in the game with a lot of efficient throws, like kind of getting him ready for the rest of the game. And it's kind of like if you ever played Madden or 2K and you have like that X factor, that little takeover badge. It's like you get Baker Mayfield to that point where he completely takes over a game. There really isn't anything stopping him. And I think that's really, you emphasize a lot of those quick, efficient passes. You get him out maybe 12 of 15 throwing. The rest of the game, he's going to be just fine. It's games like Monday night against the Lions where the offense didn't do like jack squat for 30 minutes. It's really hard for that point for Mayfield to really build up, and he has to play hero ball the next 30 minutes, and that's just hard to do week in and week out. So I think to see the most consistent Baker Mayfield, like we kind of talked about the running game and the emphasis put on that, you don't want Mayfield throwing 50 times. You want him throwing 30 times like he did against the Seahawks, against the 49ers, and you have a really good, really dialed-in quarterback.
Yeah, I'm expecting a full-on rebound from Baker and Josh Grizzard to a degree as well. I think last Monday's game was a real humbling moment for Josh Grizzard. Not that he was feeling like that he's the top dog and the man and everything like that, but I don't know. I mean, the Eagles game, the offense still looked pretty good, especially in that second half. This was like the first game where it was like, wow, the defense truly got the better of the offense and they just didn't have a lot of answers. So I think it's a big week even though a short week, for Josh Grizzard to get back to the drawing board, see what they need to fix, what they need to change. And kind of like what you mentioned with Baker. I mean, some of this has to do with the offensive line. They need to protect a little bit better. But if Baker has a little bit more time, I expect him to fully bounce back. I mean, he's as motivated as anybody week to week, and he's probably chomping at the bit right now to get back out there and go and play and regain that MVP type of form, because his MVP status certainly took a little bit of a hit with the game against the Lions, but it's a week-to-week league, and if Baker throws for 7 touchdowns in this game, he will
Nobody's going to look at the other one.
Certainly move back up the rankings once again.
Yeah, and I would still say right now, I mean, if we're looking at the MVP race, I mean, it's Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's still going to be in that top 3, top 4, really the rest of the season. But like you said, if he has a big bounce back week before the bye, people are going to be talking about him again for quite a while.
They will. I also think, who was it? Drake May, I think, has to be in the conversation. I think Matthew Stafford, after the 5-touchdown performance, because the argument for him will be like, oh, you've been in this league for so long and still playing at a high level and blah, blah, blah. I also want to rule out Dak Prescott. I know the Cowboys haven't won every single game, but their defense is terrible. Dak's playing at a very high level. So
yeah, with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, like that's unfair.
Exactly. So I think it's a little bit of a wide open race right now, but hopefully Baker can find a way to get near the top once again. By the way, folks, the injury report has come out, and the Bucs actually practiced today. It wasn't a walkthrough, so this one's a little bit more accurate than just the walkthrough. But not participating today is Teddy Bridgewater with the teeth injury again. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah,
and again, like, he's in the locker room. I saw him in the locker room today as he was there yesterday, but he's not participating. So
it's very
I don't know.
wild.
Maybe Connor Bazelak gets the call. But Teddy Bridgewater, because of his teeth, did not practice. Chris Godwin Jr., Bucky Irving, both did not practice. Hassan Reddick, ankle and knee, did not practice. Vita Vea with a foot injury did not practice. That'll be one to monitor. But on the flip side, Levante David actually participated. I thought my eyes were deceiving me. I'm like, wait a second. It's not a Friday or a Saturday. Levante David's practicing. So he was limited with a knee and rib. Emeka Buka, hamstring, limited. Greg Gaines, toe, limited. Luke Haggard, shoulder, limited. So we'll see if he ends up starting or if it'll be Mike Jordan. Christian Izzian, knee, limited. Antoine Winfield Jr., toe, was also limited. So good to see Winfield back in there, and Emeka Buka as well, along with everyone. And then just rounding out the list, all these players practice in full. Ben Bredesen, Devin Culp, Michael Jordan, Baker Mayfield, Zion McCollum, Marquise Watts, and Josh Williams. For the Saints, Davin Godchaux did not practice because of rest, or he was resting. That's why he didn't practice. Alante Taylor, personal, practice in full. Jawan Johnson, Alvin Kamara, and Chris Olave were limited, and Chase Young were full. So Saints will pretty much have a fully healthy group. Bucs certainly will not. I mean, we talked about Eric McCoy before, but the Bucs certainly more banged up. No Chris Godwin Jr., no Bucky Irving as well.
It is promising, though, that after 11 players not participating, that was cut more than half to just 5 players not participating. And seeing, like you said, Levante David, he's back. Emeka Buka's practicing out there. The one concerning thing is Vita Vea. I feel like you always kind of near this point of the season, mid-season, he has a foot injury. I think that's more like a product of being a big guy and just kind of needing a day or two off of his feet. I would say he's still probably good to go for Sunday afternoon, barring anything unforeseen. But otherwise, things are trending upward for the Bucs. But we've mentioned so many key players that they're without. This is going to be a game where you're going to see guys step up, and then hopefully across the bye week, more health, more reinforcements in the second half.
Let's hope so. I mean, this team is too good to be derailed just by a couple of injuries. So hopefully Gedeke can come back, and Bucky and Chris Godwin Jr. We would love for our Pewter Platinum and Premier members to come back tomorrow at 1:30, as we will have the Pewter Insider talking more about Tez Johnson. Can he emerge as the Bucs wide receiver 2? And since we're talking about Pewter Platinum and Premier members and the Pewter Insider, now's a good time to say thank you very much to all of our Pewter Platinum members, including Scott Federico, Scotty J, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Dave Anderson, Eric McMillan, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel Elrican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zach Brannikin, RP89, Connor For Reals, Kevin Thomas, Mario Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon O'Reilly, The Guy is Gifted, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucks, The Real, Maverick, Rayon Pinkney, Brian Shucker, Black Gold 1999, Steven Zool, King James 813, and Brian Green. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support of PewterReport.com. We appreciate each and every one of you. And part of being a Pewter Report Platinum member is that you got to join us for the exclusive Pewter Report Platinum member meetup. That was at the Walk-Ons in Midtown Tampa earlier this year over the summer. It was a ton of fun. Met a lot of awesome people and just chatted about the Bucs and had delicious food over at Walk-Ons. There are 3 Walk-Ons in the Tampa Bay area, one in Wesley Chapel, another in Midtown Tampa, and a third in Lakeland as well. Check out the fancy drinks they got over there, some winning shots, whether it's the Tropical Vegas Bomb, Lemon Drop, Washington Apple, Green Tea, or the Mexican Candy. They got kickoff cocktails as well, like the Walk-Ons Whiskey Sours, Players Punch, and Strawberry Mule. The appetizers are fantastic, and they have happy hour plenty of the time, including all day on Tuesdays. You can still go today on Thursdays from 3 to 6 and then 9 till close. They got TVs everywhere, so whether you want to watch football, baseball, basketball, hockey, NHL, I think soccer, there's some things going on. They got it all at Walk-On, so eat like a winner, drink like a champ over at Walk-Ons. And then one more reminder for everybody. We got a couple of other shows coming up this weekend. The Pewter pregame show takes place on Sunday at 9 a.m. We'll look at all the biggest storylines and matchups for Bucs versus Saints. And then at 4:05, the Pewter Game Day show. Myself and Daniel Morales giving play-by-play reactions, analysis to everything going on in Bucs versus the Saints. So should be a fun one. It's hate week.
Yeah.
Bucs hate the Saints. Awesome comments from everybody today.
Matt, we have a few super chats at
yes,
the buzzer
we do.
beater.
So Eric Moreno, thank you for the $2 super chat. And this $2 super chat wanted to ask, will Vita play? And then also, Saints hate week, go Bucs. Who dat? Boo! As far as Vita Vea, I mean, we just kind of talked about it, Adam, but it seems like Vita Vea is going to play.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking at his week-to-week snap counts, and coming off a Monday night, he played a season-high 55 snaps, which was 80.9% of all defensive snaps he was out there. And I mean, Vita's playing a lot this year, more, I think, based on Kalijah being out. But you want to give the big guy a break, and I feel like his foot probably is bothering him, being on his feet so much the last game. But when it comes to Sunday afternoon, I wouldn't worry just yet unless there's this new revelation we have yet to hear about.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, how much could he have really hurt his foot? Like they had a walkthrough the day before. It wasn't like he was running around and stuff like that. So probably more precautionary than anything else. And Big July, thanks for the $4.99 super chat, says, over pessimistic fans lose one game and everybody's ready to jump ship. Hopefully 6-2 at the bye and basically 7 free wins to end the season. I mean, if they get the job done against the Saints, I think if you asked many people before the season, hey, the Bucs are going to be 6-2 going into the bye, would you be okay with that? I think every Bucs fan would say yes.
I would, if they were 6-2 at the bye before the season, I would have given it an A grade. Like the fact that they've played some really tough teams and they've come out with wins, I think has been huge. The only part of that statement I don't agree with is the 7 free wins to end the season. I mean, no wins free. Going to New Orleans this week, that's not a free win. You'd like it to be, of course. But when you look at the Panthers at the end of the season, they're 4-3 right now, and they're kind of surprising some people with Dave Canales as a head coach. So I wouldn't look at those games either and be like, oh, we're going to chalk those up as W's. I mean, every win is earned.
Very, very true. Each and every one of you has been fantastic. The comments about hating the Saints have been very, very fun and comical. I've got some good laughs at them. So appreciate everyone's support watching today's show. Thank you in general for your fandom of Pewter Report. You heard me talk about all the shows we got coming up. So the Pewter Insider tomorrow at 1:30, pregame show Sunday at 9 a.m., and then the game day show Sunday at 4:05 p.m. for Bucs vs. Saints. If you're not already doing so, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at Pewter Report, and our YouTube channel is PewterReportTV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video below. Tell us who you think is going to win the game and why, maybe a score prediction, however you feel about it. We'd like to see everyone's comments on it. So that'll do it for us on this afternoon show. For Adam Slavon, I'm Matt Patera saying thanks everyone for watching. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you soon for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.